Hello everyone. Recently, I got the opportunity to play with the Nintendo Switch at PAX South at San Antonio, Texas, here where I live. It was a lot of fun. I had a friend go with me, and we both played it, and we both tried out a lot of different things that it had to offer. And we just finished recording an hour worth of dialogue where we talked all about it. However, in this, we ended up actually divulging into multiple topics, some of which are topics that I plan to cover in future videos. So I'm going to end up just splitting up this hour-long discussion into multiple videos. This first segment that you'll be hearing right now is about our experience with the Nintendo Switch. Okay, so today is February 5th. It's been exactly 1 week since PAX South, and I actually got to play with a Nintendo Switch, and so did my friend here. This is Simon.
Hello, everybody.
What do you want to start with? You want to talk about like just the what it felt like first? Like okay, here I know how we start this. What did you think when you first actually saw it? Like,
when I first saw the Switch, I was actually extremely surprised with the size. Usually when you see pictures of it, the first thing that pops in my head is thinking it's about the size of a Wii U gamepad.
Yeah.
But when I went up to it and I actually pulled out my 3DS, the screen of the Switch is the same size as my 3DS closed. With the Joy-Cons on the side, I mean, it'll fit in your pocket easily with the Joy-Cons on. If you pull those off, I mean, if you don't have cargo pants, you could fit it anywhere. It's extremely mobile, extremely light. When I held it, it was honestly, it weighed less than a 3DS.
Yeah, what's crazy is that Nintendo actually released the actual specifications of the weight and size on the Japanese website, not on the American website. But it actually is I think 30 grams lighter than the 3DS. I was actually really impressed because it's the lightest Nintendo handheld yet. It was hard to get a proper judgment on the weight at first because it had that metal clamp on the bottom. But the system itself, yeah, I was impressed by the size, because I remember a while ago somebody made a mock-up size comparison, and they put it next to a 3DS XL and it didn't look that much bigger. I was like, there's no way it can be that big. There's no way they can be that small, because it's just when you first see it in the trailer, it does not look that small. It looks like the size of Wii U gamepad, like you said. But yeah, when you're actually holding it there, it feels like the perfect size.
Yeah, and it's funny, we actually got a chance to handle a Switch off of the cable. They had a representative there who had a Switch, and they let you take off the Joy-Cons and feel the weight, etc.
Yeah, it was like a leftover unit just for you to play around and see how it feels. It
was extremely light. One thing I noticed is how easy it is to snap the Joy-Cons on and off of the Switch screen and onto the actual controller. It actually does snap. The snapping noise they're always, doing in all of the intros for the Switch and everything actually does make that sound when you snap it into place. There's a very audible clicking noise.
Yeah.
Very friendly, very user-friendly. There's little buttons, actually, on the back of the Joy-Cons that you press, and it will unlock them, and you slide them right off. Another thing I noticed as well was that the Joy-Cons themselves are extremely easy. They fit in your hand, despite being so small. That was a concern I had. Even holding them sideways like they showed as a little tiny controller, you thought your thumbs might hit. Not a problem at all. It fit into my hands and even fit into Luther's hands.
Yeah, that was the first thing I wanted to try because I have very large hands, and none of the we didn't actually get to play any games where it utilized that. But we didn't actually get to play any games that utilized that, but we were just messing around with it. And yeah, your thumbs don't hit each other, at least from what I experienced. It's a decent size. It looks painfully small, and maybe if you have really long spindly fingers, it might be. But for me and for Simon and for pretty much anyone there, I didn't hear anyone really complain about how small they were. The one thing that I will say took me back is how small just the face buttons are. They're even smaller than the 3DS buttons and the 3DS XL buttons. However, that does allow for... I saw the channel Game Explain talking about how he doesn't like the split D-pad because it makes it harder for him to play side-scroller games, I actually disagree, because it could just be because of how big my fingers are. But due to the small, like the small size and the close proximity of the split D-pad buttons, you can still like slide your thumb all around them and hit them all at once. So like in example in fighter games, you can still do like quarter circle, half circle moves and stuff like that without a problem. Really, the only reason the D-pad is split in the first place is just so that like when you take off the Joy-Cons and like you're holding them side by side, they're both symmetrical. They both have the same like button layout.
Another thing people have noticed is the way the actual analog sticks are. They're kind of flat on the actual Joy-Con. The reasoning for that I have noticed is that so you can put the Joy-Cons into your pocket without risking damaging the actual the actual analog sticks.
They still stick out a bunch, like enough, and they still click down, so they still feel like a traditional controller, like analog sticks.
Another thing that was noticed as well, or not so much noticed, but the let's move on actually to ARMS. We got to play ARMS.
Yeah,
that was
ARMS.
the first thing actually.
Yeah, basically the way it worked is that we waited in line, and while we were in line, they gave us like this little punch-out sheet that had all the different games you could play, and you could play up to 3 of them. And so we played. The first one we played was ARMS. ARMS is really cool. I didn't doubt that it would be fun. Like ever since I first saw it, I was like, okay, that looks fun. Actually, when I first saw ARMS, I was like, okay, that looks cool. Kind of looks cool, but yeah, I think it's gonna be like Wii Sports, where you'll have fun the first month, maybe a few months, and you won't touch it again. But then they announced that it's gonna have online multiplayer, and I was like, okay, that changes the game a lot. If Wii Sports had online multiplayer, that would have helped. Like, I'm glad that Nintendo's finally embracing. They're adding multiplayer to like a lot of games that I wouldn't expect it to, because the whole paid online service. But when we actually got down to playing ARMS, it was really fun. The motion controls are like super on point. They don't feel like jagged, or like it's not waggly like the Wii remote was, where you didn't even... I remember that's actually what kind of like made me disillusioned with the Wii, was when I first got Wii Sports, and you played with the baseball game, and it tells you to swing, but I noticed you don't really need to swing. You just need the controller just has to detect that you moved. So if you just move your arm in any way or shape or form, it'll register that as a swing. And it didn't really make it feel really realistic.
And that was the reason I wanted to move on to ARMS as well, was the motion controls. As Luther was saying, with the Wii, the controls were really clunky feeling. They were really sensitive, I guess, especially in the main menu, but when it got to games like Wii Sports, it would tend to screw up sometimes. I remember holding my Wii remote. I'd hold my Wii remote at just the wrong angle, and I'd see my dude with the baseball bat just start having like
glitching out, freaking out,
seizure. So, yeah, I remember that. But in ARMS, you would move by holding both Joy-Cons, one in each hand, and you tilt them like kind of like two dual joysticks to move around and actually make punching motions. Block by moving them together. I never had an issue. The entire time we played ARMS, and we played, what, 3 rounds?
Yeah, 3 rounds.
We never had an issue with either of us with any of the motion controls.
Yeah, and it's really easy to pick up, and like you pretty much immediately know how to play.
Yeah, it was probably the most fun game we played. We also played 1-2 Switch and Splatoon 2. 1-2 Switch was, well, obviously it was with the Joy-Cons, and Splatoon 2 was with the Pro Controller, and we'll get to that in a minute, but
going back to ARMS, I want to clarify something I just said. I said that it's really easy to learn all the controls. There is one thing I want to warn. Well, as you can see in the actual trailer for ARMS, if you hold the Joy-Cons facing like diagonally toward each other, that is how you initiate blocking. All you need to do is just point them at each other. Don't jerk your arms, because I made the mistake of doing that. And when you jerk your arms, your characters just throw both their fists at the same time. And so like you'll be trying to block, and then you'll end up just leaving yourself wide open. And so that would end up like screwing me over a lot. That's actually why I lost in that final round. And Simon ended up winning.
It's really cool though, because when you throw both hands and you hit your enemy with both arms, you grapple them and pretty much ground pound them, or basically, depending on what character you're playing, you do kind of a special move, does a lot of damage.
Yeah, and then you could also like uppercut people and knock them out for a bit.
It's cool too, because when you punch, if you just punch straight without twisting your hands, you'll just do a straight punch, but you can actually curve your fists as well if you twist the Joy-Con while you punch. And those controls are really smooth.
Yeah, like what I really liked is their Springman, which is the main character on the box art. I played as him, and one of his fist customization options is he can turn one of the fists into a boomerang. And when you punch, you can then curve the Joy-Con in whatever direction you want, and his fist will travel in that direction. And that's how I was able to land a few of those side shots on you. Yeah, but the whole thing was really fun. This is kind of off topic, but you actually gave me an idea. You were saying how you like move like a dual like analogs. I think that would be really cool for like a what is that one game that you play, the Ace Combat or whatever?
Yeah. Not. There is Ace Combat. I could see that being cool with a flight game.
Or yeah, like any sort of like flight where you can throttle in different directions and stuff like that.
Or something like a Star Citizen Elite Dangerous. I know that
hell
Star
yeah,
Citizen,
you wouldn't need a joystick anymore.
Yeah, Star Citizen would never work on the Switch, but they already said PC Master Race on that.
Yeah, but Elite Dangerous, or a game similar to that.
Yeah, and the Elite Dangerous is already ported to PS4 and Xbox One, so there's no reason they couldn't also port to the Switch if they wanted. And that would be great. You could use one Joy-Con for the throttle and the other one for the control stick. And, I mean, with how fluid the controls are, you'd think with Wiimotes that would be an insane concept because of how finicky they are. But the Joy-Cons, I have no doubt it can do it.
The Joy-Cons are the real deal.
And the cool thing is they don't work off of a sensor bar. I never saw a sensor bar on anything we were doing anywhere. It was completely internal.
Yeah, like it knows. See, a theory that people have is that like if you notice when you put the Switch inside the docking station, the top of it sticks out, and so people think that the very top of the Switch itself, like the screen, has an IR sensor in there. But like, and that's a cool way to do it. But even then, I don't know if that's the case, because there's games where you're not looking at the thing at all. Like for example, the dual. What is it? The what do you call it? The 1, 2, 3.
The 1, 2 switch.
The quick draw and 1, 2 switch.
Which is a good thing to move on to as well, because the next thing we want to go to is the HD Rumble.
Oh hell yeah, that HD Rumble was crazy.
In 1, 2 switch, there's a game where basically they roll marbles around in a wooden box on the screen, and you're handed the Joy-Con, which is supposed to simulate the wooden box. In that, you actually move the Joy-Con around to feel how many little marbles are inside of that wooden box. And the HD Rumble is so good, you can feel them rolling around. Yeah, it legit
feels like people keep talking about that on YouTube. Like, every time someone talks about 1, 2 switch or the HD Rumble, that's the first thing they bring up. But, yeah, I had to feel it for myself. And the instant I felt it, I was like, yeah, this is crazy. Like, I guess the way it works is they have, like, a bunch of tiny little, like, individual vibration motors. And they work at like different unison. They work in unison, but like in different ways and different patterns to like move in such a way that it feels like there's something moving. Like for example, when the marble would slide to one side and hit the edge of the box, you could feel it like move from one side and then just like hit the edge of the box, just like.
Yeah, and that was the trick as well.
And you could even shake it, and you could feel them all like moving around.
And it works really well too, because there were 5 when we did it. I guess 5. There were 4. Yeah, I guess 5. You guessed 5. I guessed 4. And I mean, we were 1 away from each of our guesses with holding completely different Joy-Cons.
Yeah, and you can really feel the difference. Like the way I try to guess is I try to like lay the Joy-Con on the side and tilt it in one direction so you could feel the marbles like line up on each other. And I guess I miscounted because I ended up counting 1 too many, and then I lost that round.
Yeah, and they bring up a little screen where you can see inside the box as well afterwards. You can see them moving around, and you can totally feel it.
Yeah, the way you actually calibrate before the game even begins is moving it around and making sure you can feel them when they hit the box on the screen.
Yeah.
And that's how you calibrate the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons themselves are really cool. My only complaint about them, and this is kind of nitpicky because it's kind of a good thing, but they're so light, and that sounds like a good thing, but they're so light that to me they feel cheap, like they feel empty. But I mean, it's a very nitpicky thing, and they only feel that way because of how light they are. Like, they're not at all cheap. They're really high tech and they're really cool.
Yeah.
It's just that like the lightness to them. It also makes me afraid I'm gonna like lose one.
The major thing with me is the same thing actually. It feels like an empty piece of plastic. Is that light? It doesn't feel like there's anything at all inside of it.
You know what's something that I really hope they do or consider doing in the future? Okay, imagine this, because like Joy-Cons are like $70. Like they're expensive to get an extra pair. So something they should do is like if you turn on your Switch console, and you don't have, and you're missing one of your Joy-Cons, you could like it'll like pop up a notification, like it'll detect the Joy-Cons not detected and be like, it seems you're missing one of your Joy-Cons. Would you like help looking for it? And if you click yes, then like wherever the Joy-Con is will start to like rumble. And so, like, for example, if you, like, drop it under your couch or something...
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And it would totally be able to as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the HD Rumble's so good, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to rumble it to where it could just rotate, like, just vibrate towards your Switch.
Yeah, just, like, move toward you.
Just right across the room.
Oh, God, that actually be kind of cool.
Yeah. No, I don't think it could actually do that. The thing I've noticed, though, about the Rumble is it's not intense. It doesn't vibrate to the point that it could
like,
move.
Yeah, and it doesn't vibrate enough to where it's going to make your hands, like, fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a really cool, it's a very nice little feature. I remember there was a game developer for the game of Dragon Quest, and like a lot of the creatures in the game are like slime creatures, and he said something he was excited to do is that when you slash at one of the slime creatures, you could feel like the Joy-Con like jiggle like Jello.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, that'd be pretty cool.
We also got to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah, we actually played that one entirely on the Switch console itself.
Yeah, and that's what we're gonna get to as well. They were attached to the metal plates, so we didn't get to feel the weight very easily. However, we did do them with the Switch console on this actual little screen, not a TV, with the Joy-Cons attached to the side. And it honestly felt more ergonomic than a Wii U gamepad. The only complaint I have is the asymmetrical placement of the joysticks.
Yeah, like I'm so used to the joysticks on the Wii U being like at the same like position where both of my thumbs. It took me a while to get used to it. My only complaint, and this is something, it's kind of like Simon's complaint, where it's something that like was jarring at first, but I know that I'm going to get used to it after a while.
Yeah.
Is the fact that the back of the Joy-Con is completely flat, because it's because I'm a Wii U owner, and so for the past 4 years I've been holding the Wii U gamepad, which is a controller, so the back of it is like shaped to fit in your hand when you hold it. But the Switch itself is entirely flat on the back, and so it's kind of jarring going from like this like nice molded like grip to just like a flat surface on the back.
And one thing,
it's not a bad thing. But...
Yeah. One thing Luther actually got to do when the guy wasn't looking, he plugged his headphones into the Switch. And...
Yeah, because like the particular Switch units that were there for Mario Kart, they were welded in such a way that you couldn't take the Joy-Cons off and stuff like that. But I noticed that the headphone jack was still exposed, so when he wasn't looking, I just put my headphones in just to see what it would sound like. And the sound quality is actually pretty good. I noticed that the pause menu and the capture button and the home button, they were all like, I guess, deactivated for the demo booth because they weren't like responsive when you touch them. The sound quality is pretty good. I didn't get to raise the volume because the volume buttons were underneath one of the welded pieces of metal. By the way, yes, this is not like the 3DS or the Wii U gamepad. The volume is not like a slidey thing. It's like buttons, like minus and plus buttons, like on a cell phone.
Yeah, which is another thing as well. They have minus and plus buttons on the Switch, on the Joy-Cons. The plus button being on the right Joy-Con and the minus being on the left. They're kind of like, I guess you could say, start and select buttons on a PlayStation controller, or, you know, start and back on an Xbox. I heard a rumor, although this is just a rumor.
And don't quote him on it.
Don't quote me. Yeah, don't quote me. It's, I heard a rumor that the plus button has small D-pad functionality, much like the
C-stick
Circle
on
Pack
the
Pro on the 3DS XL.
Yeah, I like that thing. That's gonna be so nice for Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
well, that thing saves your life in Monster Hunter.
Yeah, of course they do already have 2 analog sticks, so if they ever do release Monster Hunter,
which they will, I'm sure.
Which they will, I hope, on the Switch, then well, that's going to be great. Having 2 actual analog sticks as opposed to the Circle Pad Pro, which is amazing in Monster Hunter. It is a lifesaver. However, the Circle Pad Pro is a little sinful to use sometimes.
Oh,
I have to say.
Especially mine, because it's like my nails are so like sharp that I like tore up the rubber and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And not to mention when you're playing a game like Monster Hunter, you're like sweating because of the tension, and like you start to like can't turn because it's not like a little. It's not like a little like actual button that you can flick around. It's like super touch sensitive. You just it's really weird.
So, and we can move on as well to the Splatoon 2, to the Pro controller.
Yeah. Oh, that Pro controller. Okay, I never thought I would see the day that I said this, but I truly believe that the Pro controller has surpass the GameCube in my favorite Nintendo controller of all time. It has to be like the most comfortable controller I've ever played with.
It's so ergonomic. It's so light.
Okay, no, the one thing about it that just was just absolutely killed me in a good way is one of my main problems with the PS4, the Xbox One, pretty much every controller to date.
Xbox One does have analog.
Well, no, it's not that. It's not that.
Okay.
It's that the actual part that you grip with your hands is just short enough to where like your pinkies at the bottom don't grip anything, and your like that always annoys the hell out of me because like I'm holding it there and like I'm just like I can't. Yeah, it's really uncomfortable. But the Switch Pro controller is just long enough to where I can like hold the full thing in both hands. With my full hands, like my pinkies aren't just there underneath the bottom.
Yeah, the only thing.
Really nice.
The only thing I'm disappointed about with the Switch or the Pro controller is that the actual L and R buttons are not analog like the GameCube, and it's not really disappointed. It's just I was kind of hoping they'd do it. They haven't done it since the GameCube, so I wasn't expecting it. It would have been nice.
Yeah, especially because so many people were like praying that we would get what do you call it? They were praying that we would get GameCube Virtual Console games, and now I don't know if we're gonna do that unless they like modify the games, and I don't think they will. And I've seen people say, well, you know, they could just you could just use the Wii U's GameCube controller adapter. And I'm like, yeah, but the problem is that was made solely for Smash, and to this day it's only ever been used for Smash. I don't think Nintendo is going to add functionality with it to other games, because they would have done that already.
Unless they reproduce it.
Yeah, which they might.
They might.
Yeah.
I still, at that though, I wish they had made them analog. The only console that's had analog buttons like that is the Xbox, since, well, always. But I do wish that they would go back to the analog feel. I really did like that, especially on the GameCube. I love the click when you press it down. They're actually probably the best feeling triggers on any console I've ever had.
Yeah, it was just so satisfying to click them.
Yeah. But the Pro Controller felt really great in Splatoon 2.
Splatoon 2 was awesome in general as well. Like, if you thought the first Splatoon game was fast-paced, this one is a way more fast-paced. Like, the weapons are just insane. Like, I noticed that they nerfed the roller to where, like, you swing it, like vertically instead of horizontally. But so you get, like, less coverage, but it goes farther when you swing it. And the Splat Dualies, which are the new, like, dual revolver type weapons, were really powerful.
I used those.
A little bit too powerful.
Yeah, they might end up getting a nerf. But I used them. They're really close range. Like, the range is really close. But the damage is ridiculous. They have a lot of spread, but they're really, really rapid fire, and they do a lot of damage each. I could honestly just see it being one of those, being a really good weapon, but having two is amazing.
Yeah.
The gyro controls on the Pro Controller were really, really
spot on. It feels just like how the Wii U did, maybe a little more accurate than those, but it feels better. And like would you say it feels better than the Wii U? Because I know that when you played Splatoon on the Wii U, you didn't like using the gyro controls.
I actually turned off the gyro controls on the Wii U. They felt clunky to me, but on the Pro Controller, I was using them perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I'd say they felt better than the Wii U in my opinion. But then again, I'm also not used to that kind of gyro control. I'm typically a console gamer from the Xbox. I know, silly pleb me, but I did get a Wii U, and I did not like the gyro controls. However, when I did use the Pro Controller, it felt great. Yeah. It did take some getting used to, but once I got it down, it was really spot on, really easy to aim. So.
Yeah, I think that something that I absolutely love the most about Splatoon 2, in addition to all the new content and like the graphics are nicer and stuff like that, is that when you choose one of your teammates to jump to after respawning, your character doesn't just like stupidly stand there for like 3 seconds and then you jump. Like, as you're like the whole jump, like prepping to jump animation is taken care of while you search for someone to jump to, so that when you choose them, you just immediately jump and you're back in the fight. And
that's another thing as well. The gyro controls are so spot on. You actually pick who you're jumping to with those gyro controls.
Yeah, like it brings up like a little like outline of the map and you just like point at the character and just you're gone, you're flying.
Which is a very, very efficient way, remedy of getting rid of the touchscreen from the Wii U.
Yeah.
It's honestly not something I missed when I played it at all. I didn't think, wow, I wish I had the touchscreen from the Wii U. I never thought that once.
Yeah, like I honestly thought I would feel that way, like because we played the Wii U for so long. I was just like, you know, it's gonna be hard going back to normal controls after, you know, the whole touchscreen thing, but it doesn't feel like I'm missing out on that much because they were able to simplify like what the Wii U gamepad already made simple. So now it's even easier and it's quicker and it's more streamlined than ever.
Yeah, and they did have a booth as well where you got to play Splatoon on the standard Switch in the portable version.
Yeah, I wonder if you could use the touchscreen on that one to jump. We didn't get to actually see anyone play it, but I'm assuming that's what you could do.
Is the Switch touchscreen? The
yeah,
actual screen
yeah,
itself?
it's a capacitive multi-touch screen.
Huh.
Even better than the Wii U.
Yeah, so it's like a smartphone.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only downside is that due to like the way that it's built, it's a glass panel, so like you can break it if you drop it,
well,
like
I
an
have
iPhone.
An iPhone, I'll be
yeah,
fine.
like if you.
Yeah, I was watching them play on the actual Switch itself. I imagine you could use a touchscreen when you're selecting a teammate to go to. But I also did hear someone mention that you could use gyro controls on the Switch itself, the little portable part.
Yeah, because the Joy-Cons have the gyro.
Yeah, and they have really good gyros, which we learned from ARMS. I did watch a couple people play it. It looked like it was really fun. It looked like it was really interactive to play. Neither of us got a chance to try it on the portable Switch, though. Looking back, one of us should have probably done the portable, and the other should have probably done the Pro Controller. But we wanted to play it a match together, so we did that instead. And we waited in line for 3 hours. So
yeah, that was a long ass line.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing was really fun. And like the Nintendo reps are really cool as well.
Yeah, they were all very
nice.
They
actually know what they're talking about. See, that's what I like about Nintendo reps, because I've been to Nintendo events in the past. Like normally, like you just have people standing there, but like, and they're just like, yeah, here, you're next. Okay, now go. Now you're next. Go. But these people actually, like, they're educated on what they're playing. Like he was telling us, like, oh yeah, this game comes out on March 3rd, blah blah blah. This game comes out on April 28th, blah blah blah.
They were really nice, too.
Yeah.
The guy that watched us play ARMS, because, I mean, we did 3 rounds, and all 3 we were so close. That guy actually was getting into it. He's like, yeah, come on. It was really fun. The people who were, which 1-2 Switch was the longest line we waited in to play a game. We waited in line for that one for like 45 minutes or so. But we,
I was actually surprised how long that line was. Because, like, ARMS, there was, like, 2 people in front of us. We were in. Splatoon 2, we were literally in line for, like, 45 seconds. And then that one is mainly because, like, they had entire teams of 8 people go at once.
Yeah, and the thing for ARMS is they had probably, I want to say, like 12 different booths. And then for 1-2 Switch, they had 2.
Yeah, they had 2. Yeah, so that makes sense. But I was actually surprised how long the lines were in
Yeah, a lot of people wanted to play 1-2 Switch. There was one game, my favorite personally, was Samurai, which one person holds the Joy-Con over their head like a sword, and the other person has to catch it. And like by clapping,
clap their hands as the sword swings down.
The only reason I beat Luther at that is because I had been watching the people previously, and when you don't hit hard enough or you just kind of feint it, the lady on the screen says, make sure you hit with enthusiasm. So I intentionally made her say that, and then when she said that, Luther got distracted, and then I completely just like took him out. So that was how I won that one. It was completely unfair and cheap, but that's how I do. So, but it was really fun. The actual clapping, you can time it pretty well, like just watching the actual person instead of watching the screen.
And you can actually feel like the side of the Joy-Con where the sword would hit, like kind of just like down, like with the HD rumble, you can feel it like impact.
Yeah, and the thing about 1-2 Switch, and I guess that's the entire gimmick, any of the games on there, not one of them require you to look at the TV. As a matter of fact, they all encourage you to look at the person you're playing with. And for every single one of them, you only had to listen to the prompts.
Yeah.
For the marble game, for the cow milking one, which we didn't get to do because we only got to do 3.
Yeah.
For Samurai and for the dual quick draw.
No, what I love is that quick draw game. Simon and I actually got the closest reaction times that the Nintendo reps had said they'd seen all day. because I ended up winning by 1 millisecond. The time was like 3.372, and he pulled his at 3.373.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like, "Holy crap, that's like the closest we've ever seen."
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Even they have a really slow motion playback of the gun shooting, and you couldn't even see the difference.
Yeah, I was like, "Wait, what?" I thought it was like a draw. I wonder if it's even possible to get a draw in that game.
Well, we could have gotten a draw, but I had to be just 0.1 or
millisecond off.
0.001 seconds slower.
Oh man. Yeah.
Which is another thing as well. It normally would be very hard to get that close, because counting it down to 1,000th of a second like that makes it to where, I mean, it's very accurate too as far as the quick draw goes. Getting a draw or having ties, I mean, your chances of that are very, 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 very slim. So it actually does calculate it down to a very close
I wonder
margin.
if they did like program in the possibility of getting a tie. Now it's possible that they did, but at the same time, I don't know. Like I know example in Splatoon, they didn't. Like people tested it out shortly after the game came out and just like walked around the whole match, not spraying any ink, and it just randomly chooses somebody to give 0.1%.
Huh.
So I wonder if they bothered putting in like the possibility of like a tie.
I'll bet they did, if only because it's a 1 versus 1. It's, you know, only 2 people, and even though the possibilities are minimal, the possibility of getting a tie on that are still more likely than Splatoon.
Yeah.
Simply because even a speck of paint.
Yeah, would immediately count as.
Even that, even though it's 1,000th of a second, you still have more of a chance of getting a tie on that than you do getting a tie on Splatoon. What else did we do on that thing? We got to wait in line for 3 hours. We got to play Mario Kart 8.
The Mario Kart 8 was pretty cool. We got to play the new battle mode, and we played on the Urchin Underpass on a Splatoon stage. I like how instead of having like the speed boost rails on the floor, they had you drive over the ink puddles, and they give you a speed boost.
Yeah, they're also very slippery.
Yeah, what I thought was cool is that when you get a speed boost in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you can feel the Joy-Cons like pulsing in the direction that you that you're like flying towards, that you're like zooming off toward.
Yeah.
And when you drift in your cart, you can feel like one of the Joy-Cons like start to like way down. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the games that we played though were really fun. The only game that actually no, that's pretty much everything I wanted to play. Like Breath of the Wild was there, but Breath of the Wild was so popular that it had its own additional 3-hour waiting line, and you got 20 minutes to play the game. And I'm not really. I am excited for Breath of the Wild. I already pre-ordered it, but I never felt the need to like actually play it in that demo, because I mean it's a story-based open world game. Like there's no point in having a demo for that kind of game.
Not to mention another 3-hour line. That's 6 hours.
Yeah,
the entire day spent standing in
I was
line.
already standing for like 10 hours.
Yeah, both our legs hurt. My back hurt. I mean, I broke my back about a year ago, so there's that. But I mean, my back was killing me. We were both just sore. I could not fathom waiting in line another 3 hours just to play 20 minutes of Zelda. I mean, I'm hyped for that game, but I'm not that hyped. If we had simply gone in line to play Zelda, by all means, that would have been worth it. But 6 hours total spent waiting in line, not to mention all the other stuff we waited in line for.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the panel. The Switch panel.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah, so before... Okay, so I was waiting for a friend of mine from work to show up, because she wanted to be there too. But, she wasn't getting there for a few hours after we got there, so we decided to just, like, see what else was there. And we saw there was this one panel that was just simply entitled, like, the future of Nintendo handheld gaming or something like that.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's check that out, see what that is. And we go there, and it... What was his name again? The channel name?
Oh God, I don't even remember. It turns out
Street
Pass.
Yeah, it was something related. It was apparently there's this YouTube channel that's entirely centered around the 3DS Street Pass feature, and they had their own booth just to promote their channel.
It wasn't even intended for that, but the presentation started off with it was a PowerPoint, and it wasn't even any old PowerPoint. It was a PowerPoint with images that were too hot, too low resolution for how large they're blown up, so it was really pixely. And then they had a slide which had all of Nintendo's handheld consoles that ever released. This is the Game Boy Color. It came out here. And this is the Game Boy Advance. We're like, yes, we know this. This is why we're here. So...
and then, what tops it... Okay, one of my favorite things is how every time they would have someone new talk, they would do the whole, and we're gonna switch over to that person, but just like how we did, nobody in the room was synchronized. They'd be like, and we're gonna switch, and then behind me, so you just hear like, just like everywhere, like nobody could do it in sync.
It wasn't even like that though. There was maybe 3 or 4 people in an audience full of like 30, which was kind of painful. And like they're all like excited about it. Like
so bad.
It was really awkward. But
yeah, like I was busy focusing mostly on. I was busy mostly focusing on the insane amount of street passes I was actually getting on my 3DS.
My 3DS was flashing with a light the entire time we were in there.
Yeah, because like a lot of people think you can only get 10 per day, but that's not true. You can actually get unlimited per day, but only 10 at a time.
I got like
just
90
so empty out just go to your plaza, empty out the 10 that you meet, and then close it again. And then just immediately open it back up again while you're in that room, and you had more. I went through like 70 something people in that room alone that had 3DSs, and it was pretty cool. I got a lot of panels that I didn't think I was gonna get.
At the end,
I actually met someone that was from Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, I at the end of the day got about 200 on Street Pass. Everyone had a 3DS at
yeah, like
PAX.
everywhere you looked, there was a 3DS. Like it was actually kind of like jarring to see that many people with 3DSs.
You know, in the panel they actually did a Mario Kart tournament, but they had people bring up their own 3DSs, which is fine. But then they had somebody come up and then they just get up and they yell, "Anyone have an extra cartridge?"
It was at that moment that we just got up and left. We were like, okay, we're done with this.
These guys aren't for real. We thought it was an official Nintendo thing. Silly us. I mean, that was totally our fault as well, because it was it wasn't an official Nintendo area, I guess. We had just gotten there though, so we didn't know. Not faulting this YouTuber who was doing this. He was running a Street Pass channel.
If I find his channel's name, I'll put it in the description of the video.
It is Street Pass Princeton.
Was that what it was? Street Pass Princeton?
Street Pass Princeton.
Alright, now you know, Street Pass Princeton. Whatever you do, please don't go tell him that we're talking about him.
Well,
I mean, I'm not exactly afraid he's gonna do anything. I mean, he had like a really like...
Well, your whole channel's devoted to bashing other YouTubers, so
Wait, no it's not.
I'm kidding. No, but, I mean, this whole point of this video was not to bash other YouTubers, and we started doing it.
Not exactly, but...
Nah, I'm kidding. But, we had a great time at PAX. Honestly, my thoughts on the Switch is that I'm actually more excited for it to come out now that I've messed with it than I was before.
Yeah.
It is incredible. I am really sad that I wasn't able to put a pre-order down, because in our city they went up fast. All the GameStops were sold out in the first couple days of pre-orders.
First couple hours on our side of town.
Yeah. It was very crazy.
Yeah, I woke up early the day that the pre-order started, and I went to GameStop and I stood out in front of the store for 40 minutes before it opened, and there was already like a line of like 20 people there, and they only had 38 consoles to sell. So luckily I was able to get like one of the last like 15, I think, that were in the store, and I was like, damn, a good thing I was here.
And apparently it was like that all over the city as well.
Yeah,
I'm going to try and get mine around launch day, but I know...
Yeah, they have to have some there for, like, just for selling purposes.
Yeah,
like, they can't have their whole, they can't have their whole allotment just, like, for pre-order, so I think there should be some there.
Oh, I know there'll be some there, but the whole thing is going to be how long I wait in line. However, if I waited in line 3 hours to touch a Switch, I think I could wait in line 3 hours to buy one. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
the whole thing was really cool, and it definitely makes me all the more excited for the Switch to actually come out. Alright, and that was our first bit of this discussion about our experience with the Nintendo Switch. Up next, we will be talking about how we feel about Nintendo's method of advertising the Switch, and what we think should be done or should not be done. Tune in next time for that piece. Until then, I will see you guys later.